Hi, welcome back to Nerds Drink Whiskey. And some of you might notice that we had a Nerdcon last night. You might be expecting some footage from that. Well, Mark is currently asleep, so we're going to see the rest of our South Sounding Spirits gathering tonight, and then look forward to our recap from McCoy's next week, and we'll hope to see you all then. All right, thanks.
Hey everybody, Nerds Drink Whiskey. We are here with our good friends from Copperworks. And last year you did not have a whiskey product, so now you do have a whiskey product. So we're going to try it. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
All right.
While you explain what we're drinking.
All right. Well, thank you for actually coming back and tasting the whiskey. So this is a American single malt whiskey. So it's not a bourbon, not a rye. It's 100% malted barley. We've taken malted barley, we've made a beer from it. This beer had 5 specialty malts, so it was sort of like a Scotch ale. And then we brewed it in a brew house. We fermented it for 3 weeks. We distilled it in 2 pot stills. We aged it in new charred American oak for 34 months. And then we pulled it out and put it in bottles.
This has got to, I'm going to guess this is a pretty high proof.
104.
I am so not shocked that it's 104 proof. Yeah, that.
Although, for 104, it's plenty smooth. Like, there's no, like, we tasted some earlier, there were a kick in the teeth. And this is not that. And I will say, I can tell that it's just barley. Because, yeah, it tastes like if you took a beer and took all of the flavor and alcohol and distilled it into that size cup, that's what you'd be left with.
Yeah. So, are you ready for our 3 questions?
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right. So, when you're distilling, what is the most dangerous thing to forget when distilling?
The most dangerous thing to forget when distilling whiskey is probably your whiskey glass. But when distilling vodka or gin, it's a little bit different. It's definitely going to be to have your backup distiller, because that's a 20-hour distillation for that vodka. The gin's a little bit easier, 7 hours.
Cool. All right, so in our controversial question of the night is, what is your opinion on no age statements?
Actually, I always like putting age statements on, and I always find age statements interesting, but I don't think that age statements make the whiskey. As a matter of fact, I think where we are right now is we're age-centric. We think that age is the only value in the whiskey. So people tell me they want their whiskey to be old enough to drink, meaning they want it to be 21 years or older. And I give them this, and they say, wow, that's really good whiskey. And I say, it's 34 months. So I do believe that by putting an age statement on, we're all being as truthful as we can. But by focusing on age, we're missing a whole different set of flavors, particularly the flavors that the barley brings, that the yeast brings, that otherwise the barrel would just overwhelm. So it's sort of a balance. Back to you.
All right. So the final question. What does Copperworks have to offer consumers that no other distillery has?
Well, that one's kind of easy for us because I think we are the only distillery that makes products from beer. So we literally brew at breweries a craft beer with no hops. So technically you can't call it a beer if it has no hops, but we brew it at a brewery just like a beer. We boil the wash, we sanitize that way, we bring it back to the distillery, we ferment it at the distillery with beer yeast, not distiller's yeast. So fresh out of the cone of a brewery is a fresh crop of beer yeast, and then we ferment it just like a beer at 72 degrees. And then we let it condition for 2 weeks, cold conditioning. So it's just really like a beer. I think that's kind of unusual. And that's our whole story, is that we make everything from beer.
Cool. All right, so any final words for the listeners and viewers of Nerds Drink Whiskey?
Definitely follow these nerds. They know how to drink whiskey.
All right, see you in a bit with another distillery.
All right, Nerds Drink Whiskey here, and we're talking to Eric from Westland Distillery, and he's going to tell us about what we're drinking, and then we're going to ask him the 3 questions.
Cool. We're drinking our Pete Week 2016 release. This came out this last October. It's a small vatting of 8 casks. 5 of them were New American Oak casks with Baird's heavily peated malt, and 3 of them were ex-bourbon casks with Baird's heavily peated malt. And they were all chosen by our blender, Shane, and brought together as an expression and celebration of all things peated, which is really what the bigger picture of Peat Week is about. Every October we do this event and have a special release for it. So the whiskey, getting ahead of us here now, huh?
Well, we're supposed to drink.
Maybe we should get you some more. Oh, sorry. Well, I was going to say, what's fun about this whiskey is, on the nose, it's a little coy. You don't necessarily...
Yeah, there's not much nose to it.
Right. You're not going to really think, oh, this is... It doesn't present itself as like an Isla peated whiskey would do, where it's going to be obviously medicinal and iodine, but it really shows itself when it gets on your palate. I'm not sure if you notice, like as you take a sip, there's sort of this explosion of this campfire. It's going to have a lot of earthiness to it. The peated malt that we use is from Speyside. So instead of being like that, like I said, medicinal iodine seaweed that we think of from like an Isla scotch, it's going to have more of this. Think about the kind of bogs that are around it. So there's leaves and grasses. It's fresh water. So it's going to be more campfire smoke, earthiness, fresh cut hay. These sorts of notes are going to present.
You want me to do the question?
All right. So our first question to you is, when distilling, what do you think the most dangerous thing to forget when distilling is?
Well, I don't distill anything. I manage our social media as well as several other marketing projects.
What would you guess the most dangerous thing to forget is?
There's a lot of things I would forget. I would guess leaving it on and not turning it off. Let me just channel Tyler, our head stillman here, and let me assume that never turning the steam off could possibly be one of the worst things you do.
Okay.
So our next question, it's a little controversial, and that is, what is your opinion on no age statements?
No age statements. I'll give you my personal opinion. We don't have any formal Westland doctrine on this. In my opinion, I think most of the time no age statements are holding blenders back from working to find the most flavorful, or maybe their preferred flavor that they're trying to create in a bottling, because they're always held back by that limit. So if it's a 15-year release, a 10-year, 20-year, whatever, even if they find barrels that would increase the maybe interesting notes or the complexity, they're not allowed to bring those barrels into that blend because you can't dip below that 10-year mark. So, I mean, that's kind of the way I see it. I understand that the idea is to protect people, but there's, to be honest, like there's a huge lack of transparency in much of the industry already, and it doesn't seem like age statements are really helping with that. So.
All right. So, Westland Distillery, I purchased your product. We've talked to you before. You guys have been around for a while. You guys are kind of the single malt kings of Western Washington. So what does Westland Distillery offer consumers that no other distillery has?
Oh, well, I don't want to say no one else does this, but I would say that we try to, you've seen our tagline, thoughtfully made, probably on some things. It's not just a tagline. There's many times in meetings and decisions that are being made where we really do stop and say, well, is this really the most thoughtful solution to this? Let's stop and think about the long term. Let's think 10 years, 20 years from now, what we need or want, and not just the needs of today. And I would say anybody who's doing that, that's probably one of the things that can set you apart. And that's something that we try to do, we aspire to.
Okay. And in closing, do you have any final comments to the viewers and listeners of Nerds Drink Whiskey?
Drink Westland. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for talking to us. We always love kind of hearing what other people are thinking about the whiskeys and hearing their responses. So what I'd say to you is come down and visit us in Soto if you can, in Seattle. If you can't do that, find us on social media and chat with us. We love hearing what you think.
Hey, everybody, Nerds Drink Whiskey. Now, Jeff is our designated driver, and Nerds Drink Whiskey thoroughly promotes the idea of a designated driver. So he said, yeah, why don't you put Gabe in front of the camera for this one? So we're going to hand this microphone to you while you explain what we're drinking. Now, I'm drinking the brown sugar bourbon, and he is drinking the Elk Rider Rye. So you can, if you can explain both of them in the time it takes us to thoroughly enjoy this product.
I think I can do that. All right, my name is Neil. I'm from Heritage Distilling. So to our right, we have the brown sugar bourbon. It is an American bourbon with notes of all natural brown sugar and all natural cinnamon. It's very mellow. It's very smooth. It's one of our best-selling whiskeys. It is a product that can be consumed by the avid whiskey drinker or the novice alike. It's a product that mixes well with everything you could imagine, from coffees and chais to stuff such as pineapple juice. It tastes like a pineapple upside down cake. It's our best-selling whiskey, as I mentioned, and give it a try. I'm sure you'll like it.
It's liquid candy. Let's put 2 words. It's liquid candy.
Yep. Yeah, I'd have to concur. The next product we're having is the Elk Rider Rye. It is a very traditional rye mash bill, 95% rye, 5% malted barley, aged for 3 years. It has all the heat and all the peppery notes that you would expect to be synonymous with the rye, while still maintaining some of that buttery, creamy and texture that a lot of the hot ryes nowadays don't usually have. Speaking of all the hot ryes that are currently coming out, we wanted to produce something that would stand alone and would be a product that the average rye drinker would like, and also the expert. And we think we hit it right on top of the head. It's creamy, it's buttery, it has all those peppery notes all combined into one, and it's one of our favorite products. The Elk Rider logo, I might say, it's not just something we developed off the whim. The owner's grandparents had a homestead in the Queets Valley, Washington area, just a few miles from here. And they would domesticate and ride elk on their homestead during the 1800s. So we've adopted that as one of our monikers, and it fits pretty well. A very bold product, just like an elk, and we're proud of it.
Cool. All right, so as we go around all these distillers today, we're asking 3 questions.
Yes.
Are you ready for the 3 questions?
I'm born ready.
When you're distilling,
Yes.
What is the most dangerous thing to forget when distilling whiskey?
Not removing the heads or tails of the product, in my opinion. You do that, and you're gonna have a product that can be very, very volatile for human consumption, make you go blind, and don't want to have that. It could potentially kill you if you drink too much. So we always try to remove that. That's one thing we're really focused on.
All right, now I'm gonna hand the microphone over to Gabe, and he's gonna ask the second question.
All righty, Gabe.
For our second question here, we'd like to ask you, what is your opinion on no-age statement whiskey?
I really do like no-aged whiskey. We have a great whiskey at Heritage called the Commander's Rye. It is an unaged rye. It's very crisp and clean. I think it's a product that is a misunderstood product. When most people hear of an unaged whiskey, they immediately associate it with being very harsh and almost like the traditional moonshine in a sense. But an unaged whiskey is a very flavorful product. It is a very clean product that produces, in my opinion, the texture and consistency of a very clean vodka while having all the flavor of a whiskey. So I'm all aboard the unaged whiskeys if they're made correctly. I'm sure we've all had some of the unaged whiskeys that, might have been made in your neighbor's shed type deal, and we've been experienced to those harsh realities. But a quality-made, unaged whiskey is something that no one should be afraid of, and is something that I will encourage people to consume at any time they came into one of our locations.
Cool. All right, so the final question. Okay, now, we have a very, very long history with Heritage. Since the day we launched the podcast, we've been talking about Heritage.
Absolutely.
You guys have been on the show a couple times. Yes. You keep sneaking back on. Yeah, somehow. So the final question is, what does Heritage Distillery have to offer consumers that no other distillery has?
Well, I mean, that question could be answered a million different ways, but I think one of the most important things is we are a company who who strives to make a product that can be enjoyed by everyone while making that product in the most equitable ways for all sides of the party. Every employee at Heritage loves their job. All the local customers that come in love the product that we produce and love the experience that we can help make with them. And we try to just be that honest and trustworthy whiskey company that the market needs nowadays, and coupling that with the fact that we always try to stay 1 to 2 steps ahead of the next guy. There's over 1,100 distilleries in North America today, and you have to do something to set yourself apart from the crowd, and we put emphasis on that. And I think that's a testament to what type of product we produce and what type of company we are. The owners also as well create a feeling of family within the distillery that is tough to match. Every day I go to work, I walk in with a smile and leave with an even bigger one. So it's hard to not produce a good product in those situations.
Okay, next time we talk to you, we hope that you can not be quite so shy and break out of your shell.
Break out of my shell? Yeah. I'll try. I'll give it a try.
All right.
I'm trying to be as professional as I can. I don't get too much microphone experience, so I don't know what really to do with my hands in this situation. Do I keep them up? Do I keep them down?